Right, welcome back to another video, guys. I'm just going to show you in this video my miniature bog garden. I planted this up in February and it is established really nicely. It's kind of like I had an image in my head of what I wanted it to look like, and it's really fulfilled that image. So this lighting is terrible at the moment, but I do have a filmed footage of it in a second that you'll see. But this was planted up in February of this year. Yep. Forgot where we were in the year then, but I've been watering this quite a lot, but obviously as I can't see where the level of water is, I can't tell you exactly, but it's enjoyed it, whatever I've done. But there's some little drosseries in there and everything, and then all this Articularia that's grown up. I think it's called Articularia. I might be calling it the complete wrong thing. I know, something like that, but I think that's just like the wild variety, the very common variety, if you can see. I'm not going to focus on that flower, but yeah, so I'm going to show you some footage of this and give you a rundown of everything that's in there. And yeah, like I say, that's been planted since February, so if you're looking to recreate something like that yourself, follow what I've done here. Right in the front here we've got the Drosera Rosanna and then the Drosera Sargentii. Behind that, just under the Cephalotus, you can see some Pinguiculars, and then on the left is a Drosera Aliciae. Then coming round to this side, we've got the baby fly traps that were grown from seed, then the Cephalotus in the centre, and coming all the way up through the soil, we've got these, I think it's Articularia or something like that. If I've pronounced that incorrectly, I'm not sure, but they were actually growing in the pot of the Cephalotus that I purchased. Here's just a closer look at the Cephalotus. I just think the detail on it is incredible. Definitely my favourite carnivorous plant so far. And then the moss has established so nicely as well, so it's looking really good. Around to this other side, we've got more little flytrap grown from seed. And here you come around to the side where all the Pinguiculars are. This is Pinguicula Weezer, and these were grown as leaf pullings to begin with, and they've just established really nicely in there. And there's a better look at the Cephalotus. There's a lot of types of moss in there. Luckily there's not too much sphagnum moss, because I didn't want the sphagnum moss to be too invasive. So here's just a different angle of the planter, the mini bog garden here. So this container, it is completely sealed at the bottom, so there is a hole, but I've blocked it off so the drainage, obviously, so it doesn't drain. But here's just another look. I really want to get more Rosiana and Sargentii Droseras in there for next year, but they produced Gamiae in the autumn, so I'm going to be collecting from those. Everything in there was grown from seed and Gamiae, apart from the Cephalotus itself. That was the only plant I purchased as a plant that's in this container. And the little details, it's so detailed. But yeah, that's the container there, and just a little angle trying to get it to focus. And then here's just a quick view of where I'm filming in the garden. This is over by my fire pit area where I put a little display pond in, and then I've got the Musa Basdew there, and then the Paulonia above that. Here's just some yucca, and then the Nymphophia behind that, and I just think it's looking really nice. And this is the first year I've planted it all up, so it's going to establish a lot better next year, and I'll be able to add a lot more flowers and plants. But yeah, the Musa's doing so good. And whilst I was looking at my Cephalotus planter, I've noticed that there's a tiny little mushroom growing in there, and I've actually noticed two of those before, so if anyone knows what that is, just leave a comment down below, because I'll really be interested to see. So I hope that was interesting to some of you to have a closer look at the planter, because I know it's been in a couple of my videos, but I've never really gone into too much detail on what's in there. I know I did mention a couple of times what was in there, but not fully. So if you want any tips, not that I'm an expert, if you want any tips on how to sap your own one or anything like that, or if you want me to do show you how to set them up, then leave a comment down below. But thank you guys for watching, and I will probably do some more updates on this. It's going to be going into winter dormancy very soon, within probably the next month, so I'm going to be keeping this in my greenhouse. I may have to take out the Pinguiculars. The Cephalotus is staying in there, and the little flytrap Dionaea are going to be staying in there too, but the pygmy sundews in the front, they're actually to my knowledge, they're not winter hardy, but they do produce gamiae in the winter, which is tiny. It's like asexual reproduction. They produce tiny little, they look like large green seeds, and you save them, and each one of those will produce a new plant. So I'm going to be taking those off of, like harvesting it from the plant and setting up my propagator again with the light, and I'll be growing those through the winter so that they'll be ready for spring to go back out again. And I do want to get quite a few more in there, because I did have a whole container full of the Rosianna, which is the larger one, and they look beautiful, like they turn really red, and unfortunately that whole container died because I didn't water it, and so I've only got one left, but I'm lucky I've got one, because each sundew should produce, I believe, like they'll produce maybe up to 20 per one, so I'm going to be saving some of those. And I've been waffling on now. The Aliciae here, the giant form Aliciae, that I don't think is winter hardy either, so I may need to take that out of there as well. So basically through the winter this is just going to be the Cephalotus. Oh, and the small fly traps there. But the fly traps were grown from seed, and they, like I've said 4 times, they take like a month, maybe longer, sometimes longer, to germinate. So I just sowed them directly into this container when it wasn't covered in moss, because it was just obviously soil to begin with, and they've all come up really nicely and quite spread out nice, as you would have seen in the clip. So I'm really chuffed with how this has turned out. And if you have any suggestions on miniature plants that I could, I'm keeping it pure, like strictly carnivorous, so if you have any suggestions of what I could add to this container, not that there's going to be much room next year, but let me know in the comments, and I will take any suggestions and see if I can make it work. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.